They don't tell you how it ends. They give you a play-by-play of the beginning, though. How it should feel, what it should look like, what you should do and how you should do it, what you should call it, and what you should plan. The shit you should buy and the shit you should ask for can't be anything for yourself, though. The time that you should take and when that time is just too much. The sacrifices you should make, you and only you. But they don't tell you about the love that dwindles to the size of a cherry on the inside. And they don't tell you about the forks in the road, the ones that are marked joy, complacency, or resentment. And they don't tell you that of those three options, you only get the latter. Yet, somehow, we still believe that the choice was always ours.
Three minutes pass.
Have the baby. Have the baby not. Have the baby. Have the baby not. Okay, this isn't going to work. There are really only two options. Either I have the baby or I don't have the baby. Well, I mean, I could put it up for adoption, but I'd still have to go through all of that physical trauma, and by the time this thing pops out of me, I would have felt like I would have deserved to keep it after turning down all of those drinks for so many months, so.
The girl pulls out a notepad and pen from her purse.
Baby, pros and cons. Pro, I'll have a baby. Con, I'll have to sacrifice my body. And I've got just the right amount of chub right now. So what will pregnancy do to me? Jowls, 38F bras, an unforgiving kangaroo pouch, stretch marks. Pro, I'll have pushed my body to its limits. I'll have gone through 10 moons of pregnancy, and that in itself is a win. Con, afterbirth. All of that sludge just leaving my body at its own will. And those big ass diaper pads that I'll have to wear while breastfeeding. Oh, another con, breastfeeding. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a very, very beautiful thing, but these breasts can't afford any more hang time. They're already saggy as hell. Pro, I'll get lots of free stuff. And I'll have a bashment baby shower, and that'll be super fun. Con, where the hell am I gonna live? I won't be able to afford this place. The only option I'll have is to probably move back in with my mom and pro, maybe I'll be forced to grow up, right? In a good way. Maybe I can finally leave my shitty job and use that mat leave time to figure out my own shit, right? Seeing my baby will just like automatically make me want to be better, right? That's what they say, you know? It'll make me get up off my ass and make something of myself. Con, I'm not perfect. And my mom was not perfect. And I'm sure my grandmother was not perfect. And the list goes on and on and on. I can't risk bringing another child into this imperfect world, into this imperfect life, my imperfect life. There are so many issues that need to be addressed and unpacked and abolished before one more soul can take its first breath. Pro, maybe I'll get the opportunity to understand what it means to love unconditionally.
She walks to the mirror and stares at her reflection.
It bewilders me just how fast a smile can fade away. But before it eclipses, it shines brighter than the sun, covering everyone in its path with warmth, hope, joy, love. But when it's gone, it sucks the life out of what it once gave light. A black hole absorbing the energy, stealing the hope, joy, love. You know, when I was 9, I actually thought that babies came through immaculate conception. I remember there was this lady down the hall who had about 6 children packed like sardines in their apartment. She was perpetually pregnant, and I actually thought that she was being blessed. Like, she was granted these gifts, and she seemed so happy about it. She always had this smile plastered onto her face like a contractor, covering up the cracks in the foundation of a house. On the outside, everything looked great, but behind her eyes, I saw pain and regret. A few nights out of the week, her kids would come over for lunch or dinner, and I was barely 14 when I realized that she couldn't even afford to feed them. She was spending all of that government money on liquor and drugs. I guess that's how she coped with the decisions that she had made, or maybe she just decided to drown in them. So I wonder to myself, why the hell does God keep blessing her with all of these babies if she can't take care of them? Isn't God supposed to see what's in her heart? Aren't they supposed to know how she's feeling deep down, truly feeling? And if those powers that be knew, and I mean really knew what lay behind that plastered on smile, wouldn't they have stopped? Wouldn't they have given her some mercy? But they're blessings. Babies are blessings. And so whether she needed a new one or not, whether she wanted a new one or not, whether she could handle a new one or not, it was given to her. A baby, a life plopped into her body and then into her hands. No rules, no guidelines, other than to keep them alive. But then the other day, I read up on this woman who committed maternal filicide, and that is when a mother murders her child. Her name was Tanisha Pratt, and unbeknownst to anyone in her family, she gave birth to 2 children, and only one of them is living, and they're in foster care. Baby Hope was found in a ditch on the side of the road, covered in and bitten by swarms of fire ants. And baby Malik was found wrapped in a black trash bag in a dumpster behind a restaurant days after his birth. He was covered in his own shit, and they even found some in his lungs. And at her trial, she claimed just cause for murder because she procreated with a man that she didn't love. It's deeper than that. It had nothing to do with that man and everything to do with her and how she felt about herself. She didn't want those babies. Whether it's because she didn't want to raise them alone, or maybe it was the shame of facing her family with 2 babies on her hips, or maybe she just didn't have enough faith in herself to be a mother. But I don't blame her. I can't blame her. At least in some fucked up way, she was real with herself. But now she's sentenced to life in a Texas county jail with no parole. Meanwhile, a white woman who didn't even deny drowning her 3-year-old daughter and 5- and 9-year-old sons to the point of death in 1 foot of bathwater is just living it up in a mental health institution. But that's not my point. When I think about Tanisha and that lady down the hall, all I can think about is, what did they want to be when they grow up? What were their hopes and dreams? What was on their bucket lists? I could only imagine it was veterinary school and white picket fences, a family of 4, 2 parents, a boy and a young girl, traveling, self-employment, buying coffee mugs on a whim, breakfast in bed, and sex in the kitchen. But now they're stuck in the sacrifices they didn't even know that they were making, the sacrifices they didn't know that they had to make. I don't want to make those sacrifices. I want self-employment and front doors that are French. I want to see Africa and Spain and Iceland and everything in between. I don't want to sacrifice. I don't want to be a martyr. So even if I had this child, knowing what I know and wanting what I want, I'd just be guilty. Guilty of succumbing to the vain part of me who wanted to see just how much the child her body created came out to look like her. I'd just be guilty of making a decision that I didn't realize would affect the rest of my life. Guilty of thinking that I could even do this alone. I would just be guilty of making myself believe that this was something that I wanted to do. Guilty of pushing my own hopes aside to justify one night. Guilty of letting my guard down and falling in love with a child who will probably never see me as I see myself. I'd be guilty of using my duty as a mother to stay in the same place year after year. Guilty of passing the blame, guilty of hoarding my shame. For all of these things and more, I'd just be guilty.
What is it that you were searching for? Did you think it would come easy? Your smile came in a matter of moments, but it will leave in a matter of seconds.
Abortion, pros and cons. Pro, I won't have a baby, and that's all right. Con, I'll have to fight with my conscience, even though abortion can be a very ethical thing in many cases. Pro, I won't have a baby, and that deserves 2 lines. Con, I'll have to bring someone with me to the clinic, and I don't want to tell anyone. I don't want anyone to know. This is my choice, and I want to make it without any outside opinions. Pro, it's free. And I think that they give you a little treat afterwards, so that's always nice. Con, the whole procedure in itself, it's just so intrusive. But I guess I'd have the pill option, so that's a little bit better, but whether I go the intrusive route or non-intrusive route, it just leads to pools of blood streaming out of my vagina. Well, so does having the baby. So no matter what decision I make, it just leads to pools of blood. Pro, I'll have my freedom. A few days of pain and a pool of blood, but I'll have my freedom. Con, 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 what if I can't have another baby? I go through with this abortion and I terminate this pregnancy, Next thing I know, 5 years down the line, when I've met the human being of my dreams and I want to profess my love by having our child, when I want to exercise the extent of my womanhood, just to be told that I'm not able, just to be told that I am not capable, just to be told that my body is not competent. That's not fair. If I get an abortion, I'm not saying that I don't ever want to have kids, I just don't want them right now. 5, maybe 10 years down the line, when I'm more established and, I'm not living in the funk of my early 20s. Not right now. Not, not right now. Not right now. Wanna run away, I wanna go and hide. Feeling like there ain't nobody on my side. But even when I'm wrong, it's gonna be alright. Summing up the happiness from deep inside. I wanna run away, I wanna go and hide. Feeling like there ain't nobody on my side. Even when I'm wrong, it's gonna be alright. Summing up the happiness from deep inside. Deep inside. I was 18 years old. My foster parents had given me all of the information I needed to track down my birth mother. I sat on it for about a year, and finally, on my 19th birthday, I made it my mission to find her. I didn't want to tell her anything specific. I didn't want to tell her how her decision affected me. I didn't want to make her feel guilty for doing what she had to do. I just wanted to see her. Maybe witness her smile and see a tear roll down the side of her cheek at the sight of her firstborn daughter. I wanted to know what she was doing day to day, what her career was, and if she found love, and what her path was towards those things. I just wanted to have a conversation. I wanted to get to know her, and I wanted her to get to know me. Me. So I took a bus to Chatham, Ontario, and it got there at 3:14 p.m. on Saturday, May 16th, 2015. And her home was a short cab ride away from the stop. And these homes were huge. And they were so far apart. And each house had a lot of land and a detached garage and
a driveway that like winded up to the front door, something I'd only seen in movies. So I got out of the cab a few houses down, and I walked the rest of the way to 2745 Ampersand Lane. And when I got there, I passed it. And I must have walked around her block like 10 different times, and every time I saw something different. The first time I saw 3 bikes. There were 2 blue and silver mountain bikes, and then 1 smaller bike with unicorns all over it. And the second time I saw her back deck, and it had, a pool and a fireplace. And another time I saw cars, 4 of them just there in the driveway. And there was a white man working on one. It was a Thunder something. And then I saw her. And she was beautiful. Like everything I had imagined and more. Her skin was chocolate, and her hair was in the finest braid up that I'd ever seen, just like cascading down to the nape of her back. And her shape was heavenly. Like she went for runs every day and worked out in the basement with her husband every morning. And I heard her laugh. And I saw her smile. But it wasn't at me. Coming out from behind my mom was her daughter. And she looked about 7 or 8. And her hair was long and curly. And it was that nice light brown color, like it had been sun bleached, but like all year round. And the little girl, she hugged my mom's legs. And my mom patted her on the head and then kissed her husband. And it looked like the perfect car commercial for this perfect swirly family, and I was the outsider, the wrench that would have massacred their holy trinity. Obviously, I didn't go any further, so I kept my distance and I watched behind the trees. It's a fate I was sentenced to since the day that I was born. The day that woman abandoned me. I thought the information that I got on my 18th birthday would have brought some sense into this world. Maybe would have given me a purpose. Maybe would have kept me from these set of circumstances, but here I am. Probably in the same position that she was in when she had me at 17. Careerless, loveless, and pregnant. I can't help but feel I've made a huge mistake.
I tried to fight the feeling, but the thought I just can't shake. I read all of the articles, I listened to all of the stories, and they all ended the same. A broken family, two broken people, and a child in between. A child conceived of a falsified love, in many cases lasting a lifetime. But behind closed doors, all that was left were two sets of eyes. I didn't want to leave you. It was something I had to do. Tell my little girl I am sorry. I did this all for you. One day you will understand. You will take my hand and you will say, thank you.
I was trying to figure out what that lady down the hall and Tanisha Pratt and even my biological mother, what they all had in common. And I guess they all had to do what they had to do to get what they wanted. And they all went about it in completely different ways. But in the end, they're all happy. One's got a bag of kids, and at least half of them will take care of her in her old age. And the other is, in some way that only applies to her, free from the responsibilities that she wasn't ready for. And my biological mother had the chance to turn back the hands of time and start fresh. But they've all left out the most important piece: their kids. Those 6 kids who don't know what it feels to be given undivided attention. And the young girl who has no idea how close she was to death. And the young boy who will never experience life. And then there's me, the young adult who will never get the chance to know, truly know the person who birthed her. So, what's the difference? Whether I neglect this child and give it the bare minimum to live, like that lady down the hall, or maybe I should murder the child in cold blood, like Tanisha. Or even better, maybe I should bring this child to term and give up on it completely, like that woman. Wouldn't I just be doing the same thing? Wouldn't I just be giving them the same fate? I've tarnished their environment, and I've squandered their resources and their right to free will, all because of my own selfishness? Because I had a child when I didn't really want it. And I tried to love even though I knew I wasn't capable of it. And I wanted to nurture because I thought that's what women were supposed to do. So, yeah. I would have gone through 10 months of physical torture and then hours upon hours of labor just to wake up with this 8-pound weight on my chest that would only get heavier and bigger. What do you expect me to do? Jump for joy? Change my life? sacrifice my goals because now there is this thing that depends on me and only me. This thing that looks up at me with such clarity, believing that I have everything it needs. This thing that is bonded to me for eternity. My gift for enjoying one drunken night. A lifetime of sacrifice in exchange for one night. I don't want to sign up for that. Because if I had this baby, I'd think about taking my freedom back. And I'd think about it daily.
She pulls out a flask.
It's not illegal.
She takes a swig. And another. And another. And another.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the reading. We just had a little bit of technical difficulties, but it would not be live performance without something like that. So we're just going to jump right into the talkback. No breathing time for me. So the talkback portion is really for everyone to just kind of let it out. What did you feel about the script? What things popped into your head? What questions do you have, right? We want to know, the team wants to know, because after this, we're jumping straight into our rehearsals. And then on October 30th, we're going to give you guys a full live theatrical production of Stretch Marks. So we just kind of want to know, what's going on? What's the audience thinking when you hear those words, when you see the reactions? What's going on? So let us know. Do we have any?
We don't have any questions quite yet, but Vanessa, do you want to talk a little bit about what inspired you to write this, just while we're...
Yeah, so as everyone knows, I am a mother as well. I would consider myself a young mother, a young Black mother. And as a young mother, I feel like we already have things that are stacked up against us. And then, of course, being Black, it just kind of compounds the bullshit that we have to go through. So becoming a mother and really going through that decision myself, I really just wanted to put our experience up on a platform. I wanted to let people know what we're thinking. And honestly, it's not only for Black mothers, it's for mothers of all races and whatnot. But just with what we're going through, these times that we're living in, the Black story will always take precedence. But what it really is going to be, it's going to be a 3-part series. So a 3-part series that kind of shows everyone the different stages of motherhood and all of those mental, emotional, and spiritual imbalances that we have to go through while taking care of ourselves and then taking care of another child, right? Another child, because we are all still children. So taking care of the child within ourselves and then taking care of the child that is outside of us. So the script or the play is going to show all of that, yeah.
So we have a couple of comments, which maybe you can reply to. Vicky Rowe says, first of all, this was amazing, especially with the staging/visuals involved.
Thank you. That's all JF images. You guys will see them later. Thank you, Vicky.
Victoria Edwards says, this was incredible.
Thank you. Thank you, Vicky and Victoria. Thank you guys for coming. Yeah, so this was really a partnership. So from that last reading, we got, new team members. So we have our stage manager and assistant producer. So we have Kara, who's reading right now and who also read for the stage directions. And then we have JF Images. Why? And then we have JF Images. So we have Hugo Fernandez and then Jill Fernandez, who are helping with everything that you see behind me and in front of me, which is the camera. So they're the creative minds behind that. And then we have our lovely volunteer assistant here, Evans, like Evans Avenue, yes. So it's a team, it's all a team effort, and so when you're thanking me or when you're saying, great job to me, it's also a great job to these lovely folks who are right here in front of me.
Britt V says, I just want to thank you. As a woman who was not a mother, this was all very eye-opening with me.
Yes, good. That's my audience as well. Folks who are not mothers as yet. But even if we are not mothers as yet, we still have this connection to motherhood because we have mothers. We all wouldn't be here if we didn't. So whether you know your mother or not, whether you have a great relationship or not a great relationship, we all have this connection to motherhood. And I think these words, it really just kind of translates to your experience, what you experience as a human being. And I'm glad that it makes sense to everyone else or to other folks other than me.
We have some clapping hands from Chloe.
That's my
who
girl.
Also says, I think this touches upon the things that mothers are afraid to speak about.
Yeah, that was the most important thing for me. I wanted to tell it like it is. I didn't want to sugarcoat anything. I didn't want to, lie and tell people that this is an awesome experience. It's fucking, sorry, there's young people, but it's, it like rips you out from the inside. Like you actually, if you can imagine someone who's just like walking around with their insides outside of them, that is motherhood. And so there's no beating around the bush. There's no brightening it up. There's none of that. I just kind of want to make it like real, exactly what it is. For those folks who are in it and for those folks who are not in it just yet, it's real. It's good and bad. There's light and dark. It's all a balance.
And Victoria Edwards says again, she really enjoyed the voice or the inner monologue. And the pros and cons list is something that really stood out to her. And the subtle moments going back and forth.
Yeah, that pros and cons list. That's a keeper. Everyone really enjoys that. I think we've all done it once, twice, 10,000 times. When you're making a decision, what's the good? What's the bad? And am I okay with the bad? Does the good outweigh the bad? Right? Is the bad, not good enough for you to move forward? These are all things that we have to think about. So I'm glad that it translates, yeah.
Anisha Goldborn says, thank you for sharing this story. Some of this resonates with me as a mother who had to make these big decisions at 17.
Yeah, it's tough. It's so tough. And even whether you're 17, 14, 24, 32, you're still making these decisions, right? These things are still going through your head no matter what age, no matter what, even sometimes no matter what gender, because males do have to go through this too, but that's not what this is about. Whatever race, you have to think about these kind of things, so I'm glad that I'm making you guys think.
So we've got some other very wonderful positive feedback that thank you everybody for all the love. But Vanessa, if you wanted to close off with just a look to the future, where people can find this production?
So you can find this production right here on YouTube. It's going to be live on YouTube on October 30th. We are going to have, a fully staged live theatrical show for you guys. So I just kind of wanted to use this as a goodbye for now when it comes to the stretch marks, because we are going to go out. I at least will be going into a little hovel just to rehearse and really pinpoint and fine tune everything that needs to happen. And then we'll come back like brighter than ever on October 30th via YouTube Live to share this with you guys. So of course we have the opportunity to use sponsorships, right? To take sponsorships, and we also have our Stretch Marks fundraiser that is still going on. I think we've raised we got one today, so $338 is what we've raised in the past 2 weeks. So thank you for everyone who has donated. So if you are a business and you want to, have your logo up or play a commercial before or after the show, please contact me. And if you just want to support, right, you can go to the link that is in the comments. Yeah, the link that is in the comments. I think Kara's putting it up right now as well. And just give what you can, right? And the fundraiser, what we're doing is a portion of those proceeds will actually be going to community programming for mothers of color. So BIMOC, Black Indigenous Mothers of Color. We will be supporting them in every way that we can. And when you support a mother, you're supporting the child as well. So we want to make sure that we focus on the mothers. But yeah, I think we're good. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Do you guys want to come? My lovely crew, just turn it around if there's like any light, if you guys can see. But this is my lovely crew. Thank you guys so much for all the hard work that you put in here. There is no AC in this place, okay? We are like glowing and sweating. Yes. Carol's like, no. But yes, these are my lovely team members. I'm so proud. I'm so grateful. Thank you for joining me. And if you guys have anything else that you want to share with me, please feel free to email me, or you can contact me through the website as well. But yeah, I think we're good. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy. Mwah.